Hello. So tonight's conversation is I'm just gonna give you the dating cheat code. So how did I come up with this? So in my own journeys of dating, I've learned some lessons along the way. Also, I have male friends I've been friends with since I was a kid, actually. So I've learned some lessons from them and the stuff that they say and how they pick and choose their partners. So I'm just going to give y'all what I know. And the reason why I know that this works because it has worked several times for me and for other people because I have given them this same information. So I'm just going to give you this information to help you out for some of y'all that's not, that's having trouble, having issues dating. I've had some people tell me that they've been ghosted after talking to somebody for some time. No callbacks, all types of stuff. And I'm like, what? So, and people tell me like different stories about different situations, but in a nutshell, these 8 things I believe are why these people are in these situations. So you might be able to relate. But the first thing is you're picking a type instead of the person who adores you. And a lot of people, because this is both true for men and women, a lot of times we look at a type that we want. Like we have this cookie cutter. He has to look like this. He has to be this height. He has to make this type of money. He has to have like all these gazillion things. And then what? Because you're not looking at his character. You're not looking at anything that's going to sustain. You're just looking at superficial. A lot of times men do it too, but this conversation is specifically for women. So that's the first point. You're picking a type instead of a person that adores you. The second one is you're looking at his pockets instead of his character, which I actually touched on. The third thing is you're desperate. So a lot of women, and I'm not going to say that there's anything necessarily wrong with that, because we as women have a biological clock. So like we're looking at the fact that we want a family. For me, that was not necessarily the case, so I felt like I had forever. Every woman is different. A lot of women, though, the common thread is they want a family, they want a husband, and society tells us these are the things that we're supposed to have. And quite naturally, a lot of women do want those things. So when it comes to having kids, there is somewhat of a cutoff for us, because then we go into menopause. So now you put that pressure on the man who doesn't have that same biological clock ticking, because men can have kids probably until they're like 70. I think till they're 70. I have to research that a little bit more, but there are 70-year-old men that have children. So I'm guessing till they're 70. So desperation. The fourth thing is you're dating men who are emotionally and physically unavailable. And I'll tell you the signs to look for that one. 5, because I've already did my 4. The 5th thing is you're talking too much. You're not actually listening to what he's actually saying. And I'll get into that in a minute. And the 6th one is what I just said. You're not really listening. You're talking. And the other part to that is men usually state their intentions. But women, because you have in your mind like what you want it to be, you're not seeing or actually hearing what he's saying. So the seventh thing is you don't seem genuine. And he doesn't know whether or not he can trust you. So, and with men, trust is like a really big thing. So, but we'll get into that. And then the eighth thing is that you're pushing past the red flags. So you're ignoring those red flags. So I'm going to go back because I actually took notes on this. So the first thing is you are picking a type instead of a person that adores you. When I say this, like I was saying in the beginning, it's usually the person that you made up in your mind. This is the type of guy that I like. I want him to look like this. I want him to make this money. Our kids will look like this. We'll have the perfect family and just all these different things that he has to be. But then you're missing out on the guys that really care about you or really genuinely will be for you. When you're looking for a partner, you should actually be looking for quality instead of just a look, because looks can only get you so far. Like, it gets you in the door, and then what happens? The relationship will fall apart based on somebody's looks, because he can look fine. It's like a pretty package with a nice bow, but the inside is boo-boo. Like, what is that? So you really have to look at the person's character, who they are to you, as far as are they there for you in whatever situation. Because when you get married, you're gonna have like a lot of things that happens. You gonna go through stuff, and you need somebody that can go through those things with you, not somebody that just look cute and then be like, so what you want to do, or what we gonna do. He actually needs to be active and telling you, like, this is what we need to do, that's gonna walk through it with you, that's gonna talk through it with you, and vice versa. You got to be the same way, but you need somebody that will do those things, not somebody that just look good for the gram. The other thing is, a lot of those times, those people are you have already met them and you looked over them, or maybe there's somebody that you used to talk to, and you were like, oh, he's doing too much. And you need somebody that's doing a little too much, because then you know that he's genuinely interested in you. Let's see. The one that's seen you at your worst, but hasn't lost interest in you. That's that person. And he's probably in your phone right now. The second one is you're looking at his pockets instead of his character. So this is a thing that I have noticed a lot of women are saying. He has to make 6 figures. He has to, make more than what I make. I don't know when this really became a thing, because in all honesty, as long as he's making a salary and you all put that, his salary and your salary together should make 6 figures. If you're making 50, he's making 50, maybe not quite. Maybe you make 50 and he makes 30. That's still close to 6 figures. I think that we're getting caught up in the wrong things because of social media and whatever our friends are saying. But in all honesty, you can be happy with someone that is making less than 6 figures. I'm going to give you the real of a 6-figure man, and I'm going to tell you this because I have friends that are attorneys, businessmen, and they spend time, because they have a lot of access. So their time is spent dating. They're not at the settling down phases of life. And if they do settle down, most of their time is spent working. So they're away. So what does that mean? That means that their wife is at home mostly by herself, doing everything by herself. So if you're not wanting that situation, that ain't the type of guy you want. Let's see. There are other instances where those men can be very manipulative because they're used to getting what they want. And it's readily available because of the access that they have, because of the money that they have. So they can have any woman they want at any time. Any woman would do anything to be with them. So they don't have a problem with that. So at this point, it's like they really can manipulate their way into using a woman to get what they want and then go about their business. So I don't know how that's really beneficial when you look at the grand scheme of things. Let's see, the other part was the fact that they will not make you a priority. They don't have the capacity to really make you a priority because business is before anything. Their money is before anything. So it will become all about them, and you will be doing things to please them. And I don't know what you will be getting in return. Probably a few seconds of pleasure. So that's that one. The next thing is the desperation. So a lot of women, we know that all women have a time period where we stop menstruating. So at that point, menopause kicks in. And what does that mean? That means no babies. So a lot of women are looking at the fact that they cannot have kids beyond a certain age. Even though I've known some 50-year-old women to have babies. We've seen it with certain ones, but organically have babies. I don't know what the famous people are doing, but so you do have a little time, but I think that when you are desperate, men can actually sense that. And what women don't realize is men actually do pay attention to a lot of things. They may not say what they're paying attention to, but they actually do pay attention. So they can sense desperation. And when you are too desperate, a man gets turned off quickly, i.e., that's why you get ghosted. So if you're talking to him and you're just meeting him and you're talking about having kids, okay, that's fine. But when you're like, I need to get married within the next 6 months, we need to have a family and settle down, I want to do it now, like, he gonna be like, sis, you doing too much. I ain't come here for all that. I'm just trying to get to know you and see if we compatible. You doing a little too much. Calm down. After that, I'm pretty sure he's not going to be talking to you. And if he is talking to you, this is the other part. You got to be careful, because he might just be talking to you in order to get what he wants and then goes about his business. Because men get curious. They want to know how it feels. And that might be just the thought. He just might want to know how it feels. Nothing more. So, that is our number 3. The fourth thing is that the men that you are dating are emotionally and physically unavailable. So I mean this by, if a man just got out of a relationship and that relationship was detrimental, let's just say, you know, she cheated, you know, or whatever, and he's dating during a period where he should actually be like chilling, but a lot of guys don't do that. They kind of date their feelings away. So then you wind up getting caught up in that dating the feelings away, thinking that it's something permanent when it's actually something temporary. And once he feels like he's got his self-esteem back or whatever, now he's moved on to the next. The other part is that if you ask him about past relationships, listening to what he's actually saying, like, because guys say key things that women don't actually listen to, but if they say in the past that they've that they've been in an open relationship or situationship, or maybe they're separated from somebody or taking a break, they are unavailable, because that means that they're going to be going back and forth between you and that person. So those are all phrases for he's unavailable. So take the hint and move around. The next thing is you're talking too much. And this is a really big one, because women naturally talk. Like, we come here with conversation capabilities that go further than boys, definitely. And then when we're talking to men, because our minds are constantly going, we're saying a whole lot of stuff that we're thinking. But when you're talking, especially in the beginning stages, and you're rattling off a lot of things, sometimes men take that as, okay, her doing all of this talking, then she's gonna be nagging me. Like, this might be what she's doing in our relationship, so now she's a nagger. I don't want to deal with that. Next. Or she is not interested in me. She's making it about herself. And sometimes we as women will talk about our goals and dreams and all of these different things, but when do we stop and ask the men, what is it that they have goals and dreams about? You know, like, what are their interests, or what do they want to do, or whatever. But actually have the conversation and be interested in what they have going on. Because it is a two-way street. You're not just looking for a F ship. If you're looking for a partner, there has to be some things that you know about that person. You know, you have to have some common interest and all of those different things. So you have to know what you're getting into. So having conversations is very key, and actually listening to what's going on. So that means you have to be quiet. The other part is when you're talking and you're telling a guy what you don't want, and if he's a guy that's manipulative, he'll take what you don't want and use it against you, or try to fit the narrative of whatever the ideal man that you're saying that you want. And so now he'll play into that. So I only want to sleep with you and go about his business. So yeah, let's start listening a little bit more. So the next thing is listening to him. You're not listening. Men usually state their intentions, like I was saying before. I'll say within the first couple of weeks of knowing them, because sometimes they rattle off stuff, but if we're not actually listening, we'll miss it. So yeah, they usually know what they want to do with you up front. In all honesty, it doesn't take them 6 months, a year, 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, and you're in a situationship for 10 years. Like, it doesn't take them that long. They actually know what they want to do. But if they are allowed the opportunity to play, they will play, especially when they're in play mode. So that's why it is important to listen to what they're saying. The other part is sometimes they are confused. Sometimes men are confused on what they want to do. But if they are confused, you still need to move on. Why are you sitting there waiting for him to figure out what he wants to do with you? Like, no. Don't just sit there and wait, because in a lot of cases, women be waiting forever. And then they haven't moved on with their lives. They haven't dated anyone. They're just holding out for this one guy. No, don't do that. You're wasting time. What's the other one that I had? So when you're actually listening, guys usually want to know like that you care about them. So that's a part of the listening. So if you're actually listening to what they're saying, it's like, okay, she actually cares, she's actually interested. And if he likes you, he'll show interest. Yeah, they usually do. They're not, unless they're really emotionally damaged, they will show interest. And if they're emotionally damaged, then you need to run, because all they're gonna do is damage you, and then that's a recipe for disaster. The other part is you don't seem genuine, and he can't trust you. So trust is really big with men, like I said in the beginning. And so that's why it's important to build a friendship. I don't know if you all saw the live that I had last week, when I was talking about building a friendship. One of the guys that was on there, he was saying, oh, I don't want anybody that's like, that is like buddy. But that's not the case. A mature man that actually knows what he wants does want a woman who is his friend first, because he wants to get to know her. He doesn't want to just jump into a relationship with her. He actually wants to get to know her before that part, so he kind of has a gauge on whether or not he would like to continue in a relationship with her. So, and that also builds trust. And guys, when they trust you, they will open up naturally. You don't have to probe them for information, find conversations to talk about, all of that extra stuff that a lot of women wind up doing that they really don't have to do if they actually took the time to slow down and actually be his friend. And then he'll talk to you about deeper things. And that's the other part. Like, when a man actually feels valued and he feels like he can trust you, he will start to share pieces of him that he may not have shared with anyone else. You will start to learn things about him that, you know, he may not have shared with family or friends, or maybe his last relationship. He'll tell you deeper things. And so, but when you get that information, it's not for you to use it as a weapon against him. And that's something that people do, especially women. Women get in arguments with men, and I know that it'll be a situation where he's probably did something that you really consider was really dumb, but then you go in guns blazing, and now you're saying something that he told you in confidence and using it as a weapon against him. Now that will shut him down completely, and he knows that he can't talk to you about those things. So what happens at that point? That's actually the setup for him cheating. That's like a precursor, because now he'll go talk to another woman that will actually listen, won't use those things against him. And that's how it starts, because cheating actually begins with a conversation, not the actual act. The next thing is, because I took notes, so let me see. A part of the trust and the genuineness, real men don't like mess. They do not like messy women that's running around town, running their mouth, and keeping up a lot of stuff. It is a big turnoff for real men. Now, if you have a man child, then he might like all that mess. But real men of value that have things going on, they do not want messy women, because they value their peace over mess. So all of that that's a big turn off, and a lot of women need to stop doing that. Find some other interests rather than creating mess. I would say that's the solution to that one. The next thing that I noted is that men are not like women in their emotional capacity. So where we can get cheated on, go through all of these things with them, they are not able to do all of that. Now, you have some men that will do it, but most men will be done with you because they can't handle it. If you cheat, in their heads, they're imagining what took place every time they look at you. They are imagining the person that you cheated on them with, or whatever the situation was. It's in their head. They can't get it out. They can't get past it. Men don't do that well. They may tolerate you for a minute, but after a while, they just can't do it. I don't know why that is, honestly. I don't know why God made them that way. But a lot of times they do a lot of stuff that they can't take because they don't have the capacity to take it. And when it's done to them, they usually bail out quick. We're the ones that give chances and more chances. And that's where we get caught up in repeating someone that is not even, they're not emotionally available at that point, because what we did just basically took them out. So that part, trust is really big. The last thing is ignoring the red flags. And this is a major one. It was something that I had to learn. A lot of women see red flags and just keep going. Men do it too. They really do. Because they see the physical and it's like, oh wow. But then there's all these other things that this woman is not, but they'll continue with the relationship, figuring that eventually something will change. Women do that really bad. So with that point, there are men that have feminine energy, so they are messy. Everywhere they go, drama follows them. There's always confusion in something. Maybe he has multiple women. And when women ignore those signs, they're like, well, eventually he's going to pick me. Eventually he's going to do these things. Eventually, I'm just going to do this and he's going to change his mind. Okay. So then, you keep him on repeat, expecting him to change. And it's 10, 15, 20 years later and he's still doing the same thing. So that part. My light just went out. It went out. Hello. So that part, like, you have to really pay attention to those signs, because you'll be stuck in something that is not going anywhere and then miss out on the person that is for you because you're too busy looking at something that you just want, expecting things to change, and it's not going to change, because a man has to make up in his mind this is what he wants to do. There is no way you can convince him. I don't care how much you can cook and cooking his favorite dish every night. I don't care how much sex you have with him or whatever warped fantasy he has in his mind that you decide to do and play out, you know, it's still going to be the same thing. It's still going to be the same exact thing unless he decides to do something different. Or, you know, maybe God changes him. But other than that, there's nothing you can do. The other part is the other red flag, I should say, is that he's abusive. Now, a lot of the times, abuse happens emotionally first. So from that emotional abuse, and when it comes to emotional abuse, sometimes it's kind of hard to tell in the beginning stages of it, but you'll be able to see it when you're around him, and that energy is steady shifting. Like he's pulling away, or he is manipulating you in a way that makes you feel like you have to be on edge all the time. Every time he's around, you know, you gotta be a certain way, you gotta look a certain way, you have to act, you know, a certain way, or you wind up changing who you are completely because this is what he's made you feel that you should be. And there's an insecurity that comes along with that too. So it plays into that emotional abuse because he knows that you're not going nowhere. And that's the other part. When a man knows that you're absolutely not going anywhere, that's actually a dangerous place, because then he knows he can manipulate the situation and keep you right there. So then after the emotional abuse, it goes to verbal abuse, where he's saying out of pocket stuff to you and telling you, you know, what you aren't, and all of these different things, so tearing you down. So once he's mastered the emotional abuse, then the verbal abuse, here comes the physical abuse. So those are some major things to look out for when you are dating. The other part, and stop thinking it's hope, because ain't no changing when it comes to that. That's the other part, and we'll have another conversation on abuse. But stop thinking that it's hope, that he's going to change, that something's going to be different, that, you know, some voodoo's going to be done and he's just going to switch up and, you know, become this fabulous man that you know that he was destined to be. No, he's going to be the same. And sometimes the way that he manipulates and the way the type of abuse that he gives, it becomes different. He just finds a different way to do it, but it's all the same thing. It's just to keep you there. And again, you're wasting time with that. So like I was saying before, in life, you're going to go through changes. So those were the 8 things that you need to know and need to pay attention to and do. But it's because in life you're going to go through things. You're going to experience all types of changes, and you need someone who actually is going to be there, and someone that you can do life with, because when you are on that journey together, there is no way that you can take just a man that's just fine and has nothing else to contribute. He has money, but emotionally I'm neglected. You know, the sex is good, but he ain't got nothing else to contribute. You know, he's doing this and he's doing that, but there's nothing else there. He can take you on all the jets in the world or whatever the case may be, but there's nothing there. You feel like an empty shell. So this is why I came up with these 8 points to help you pick better. And looking at, I've actually used these 8 points in the past. And I didn't really have them written down then. I just knew at that point what I was doing. And so you're talking to somebody that has been engaged 3 times, that has been asked 6 times. And so I'm telling you, this stuff actually works. So if you are looking to get a boo, let's get the first date down and get through the first date. But have somebody that is going to be stable and be in a stable relationship. Those are the things that you need to be looking at and doing, because they actually work. So does anybody have anything that they want to contribute? And like I said previously, I'm going to keep the lives to 45 minutes to an hour. I don't want to go over that time, because I don't want it to be long and dragged out, but I also want to do a series on certain topics. So I don't want our lives to be 3 hours long. So did you have anything you wanted to contribute to the conversation? Okay. So with that, I'm actually going to do a part 2 to this conversation next week, and we're gonna get in depth on some things. So I'll let you know what that conversation will be. And I might actually go live this weekend and give some more pointers, because I know that y'all out here, it's cuffing season and some of y'all ain't getting cuffed up, and this is probably like the 4th year in a row, and you looking like, what the heck is going on? What's wrong with these men? What's wrong with this? It's really not rocket science, but I think that women are really making it more complicated than what it has to be. So I'm just here to help you out just a little bit. But I will see you next week, same time, same place, and the replay will be on our YouTube channel. And so I will leave that information below. And women, a lot of times